Good morning, Story Trading VIPs. It's Tuesday, March 21st. We have FOMC tomorrow. Big day. Today we had LLAP earnings. You can see it right at the top there. And that conference call is at 11 o'clock. We'll be going live through our app on Zoom. You can find that watch link at 10:45 a.m. First, let's look at the banking stocks before we go into those individual stocks and see what's going on here. So we're seeing a little bit of a relief rally here. Oh, wow. You can see UBS up 7%, JP Morgan up 2.5%, regional banks up 5%, FRC 26%. So things, at least for today, this morning, are stabilizing. As a result, you see gold is down. Wow, TLT is down. So, yeah, you know what? I'm not changing my thesis right now. We'll see what happens. It looks like the market wants to pump ahead of FOMC pivot. That's what it looks like right now. And if you look at Bitcoin, that's still doing well. So let's look at QQQ and SPY here. QQQ is doing pretty well, above all the Q moving averages. It looks really good to be honest with you. Let's check SPY. SPY's trying to break out. Doesn't look as nice. It's got to break out above 400 or so. I think, yeah, it's got to break up that 50 DMA to really get more bullish. But right now, I think the move is flight to quality. We talked about this flight to quality and the big caps, and also playing an FOMC pivot. The problem is, the thing that's been hurting me, especially, and probably some other people, is there seems to be a severe punishment of any stocks that need to raise money. So there's a concern of, yes, there's an FOMC pivot coming, we think, right? So that should be good for stocks, but it doesn't seem to be good for stocks that need to raise money. And I think that's directly related to what's happening with the regional banks. I mean, the regional banks are the lifeblood of lending money to small businesses, and the big banks are going to be stricter on that. And, you know, if this financial crisis continues, you could see limited access to capital. And I think that's why stocks that need to raise money are getting absolutely clobbered, and the money's moving into higher quality big cap names. And you know what? I don't necessarily think this is a short-term trend. I lived through 2009. I lived through the dot-com bust. And I can tell you, I remember in those years, it was extremely frustrating if you were in any microcaps and also biotechs. Like, I remember stocks trading at negative EVs for years on end, right? So this is an environment, a macro environment I'm getting a little bit concerned about in terms of being in microcaps. And I know in story trading, a lot of people like those microcaps. I've been trying to move people towards larger caps for a variety of reasons, but given these market conditions, I think now we have another reason why larger caps are the way to go. So I'm going to talk about a few of those here, Tesla, Meta, and Microsoft in just a second. But first, LLAP earnings were largely in line. Okay, they beat on the top line, but it's only 700,000. They missed on the EPS by 3 cents. So it was a largely inline report. There was two pieces of important information in the commentary. One, that for the first time in the press release, this was in the 8K previously, but regarding the Rivada contract, there was an acknowledgement that, hey, this Rivada contract is not only for 300 satellites, but after that goes well, hopefully there's another 300 satellites, so another couple $2 billion. So that was in a filing tucked away, but never in a press release. That's now in a press release. That was a good nugget in here. The other nugget, which not as good, is that they basically said they need to raise money. All right, Dario did the same thing. Dario, a couple weeks ago, said they need to raise money at some point. They said on the conference call, not in the press release. And as a result, even though they beat revenue and earnings, Dario's been down 20% because they need to raise money. That's probably one of the top reasons. There's other reasons perhaps as well there on Dario. So LLAP, they're saying they need to raise money, but I'll tell you, their guidance and their backlog does not seem to include the Rivada contract yet. Okay. And that's probably because they need ITU approval. So that wasn't explicitly said. They did say they expect to start building that constellation for Rivada this year. But aside from that, they said the number is not in backlog. And I'm thinking also their expectation to raise money perhaps does not include this Rivada contract coming through. Remember, ITU is meeting right now through the end of this week. So possibility we get approval of the Rivada project this week in Geneva, and maybe we'll find out about it over the weekend or Friday in some cases, or more likely next week. We can find out what the decision was, at the ITU, and that could potentially change the math. We'll have to see what the analysts ask and what additional color they give. So tune in at 10:45 a.m. on our Zoom to learn more about LLAP. Now, Tesla, I noticed this morning was breaking out of a key level. Look, it was breaking out of this recent resistance here. It's in pre-market above this area. It's been consolidating in. So immediate target here is 189.32 at the 20 DMA. And if the market rips on FOMC pivot, I mean, this thing can go to like 217 or so. So today I'm bullish to test that 20 DMA, and we'll have to see. I think there's a possibility this can run to 217 if we get dovish pivot tomorrow. And when I say dovish pivot, not necessarily does it mean a pause, not necessarily doesn't mean a cut. It could just be the commentary. It could be indications that, yeah, we're maybe raising by 25 bips, but this is the last one. Like any kind of thing that's clearly a pivot, right? Either by the actions or by the words, I think will be interpreted positively by the market and send things up. And look, Tesla really looks ready to break that 20 DMA and make a run over 200. That's looking good. Meta got an upgrade today. I've already been saying for a while. Where's the chart? It's loading. Okay. I've been saying for a while about 225, 200 DMA is going to be your target. Yesterday's high of 205.76. You'll have to break that first and then make your way over to about 230. This morning, they got an upgrade from Morgan Stanley, raising the price target from 190 to 250, way above our target. So, yeah, I think you could see this quickly moving to 230 if we get a Fed pivot here tomorrow. So, really liking Meta and Tesla. Now, this is interesting. I just want to point out Microsoft. You know, it had that huge week on ChatGPT last week, and it was down yesterday. Now, one can say, well, all the other mega caps were ripping. One can say, okay, it was overdone last week. But what's interesting is I found out, and I didn't know this until today, but look at this. OpenAI temporarily pulled off ChatGPT to fix bugs. Okay, this happened Monday morning, and I did not know about this. I was not closely watching this. So it's just fascinating to me. I believe this was a sentiment trade yesterday. Like, oh, ChatGPT is down. Let's sell Microsoft, right? It's just absolutely fascinating. The hundreds of billions of dollars in market cap, which are changing daily on Microsoft just because of sentiment. Unbelievable. It's really amazing how, you know, our four-pillar process can explain even the price action of mega cap companies. And yesterday's not the only data point. Like much of this price action you're seeing here in the last few months, you can relate this all to ChatGPT headlines, Google AI headlines. It's just absolutely unbelievable what's going on here. And, you know, that's because of the extensive impact, significant impact ChatGPT can have on Bing market share, which could be huge for Microsoft, right? So it actually could make sense, right? The sentiment is just people speculating about the fundamentals longer term. That's what it's about. So these moves are actually warranted. So if you want to understand the price action there. So in any case, all of these big caps, obviously, I think are going to do well and rip in an FOMC pivot. That looks like what the market's getting ready to do. Micro caps, smaller caps, maybe will not have as much luck here, unfortunately, in the next couple of days. You can see AIR is up 4% above key levels. They had another news release on order this morning. Order size was not mentioned, but this is their second major customer, and it's a production volume production order. I think for looks like for further kind of validation, so we can expect, all right, at least AIR expects, GANX expects further large significant orders coming from this second major silicon carbide producer. Earnings are next week on AIR. Okay, so stay tuned for that. That's going to be March 30th. I guess that's next Thursday or so. That's earnings on AIR coming up. So we got a catalyst today above a key level. So this one does like to move like a mega cap. That's a stock that's really in favor by the community, trader community, $1 billion market cap at this point. No longer a little micro cap. All right, GANX had some news this morning. Yeah, $1.2 million, 1.2 million euros grant. Jason Assad's been killing this. On top of that, potential buyout candidate. Bird Global raised $10 million in convertible notes. I don't know the terms. I didn't look it up. I'm not playing this. Probably those terms are not good. Actually, we couldn't find the terms on SEC on the filing, although the press release said refer to the filing. So maybe it's not out yet. Let me just see here. The new funding is financed. Okay. It says for further, the terms are on the January 3rd 8K. Now you got to go back to the January 3rd 8K. So probably previous terms they're relying on, and there's probably a huge discount. I don't know. But in any case, I'm going to try to stay away from these little micro caps. Clearfield, we're looking for a bounce off 43, 44 at the 200-week moving average. So hopefully that's going to end up being a good long-term purchase, getting it at these levels. And just keep an eye on Bitcoin here. This is the BITO chart. You want to look at, if you're looking at an actual Bitcoin chart, it's what was that level here that I'm looking at? It's about 28,500 roughly. Yeah, 28,500. Right now it's at 28,200 or so. Yeah, is it around 28,200? So 28,500 is what you want to look at on Bitcoin, and then you can continue to see if that happens. I think you're going to see obviously Mara and Riot and all those stocks rip. By the way, BTB, the CEO, last night, was it last night or early this morning? CEO just recently, I think it was last night, he said that they got a term sheet for a $10 million loan to build 5,000 more servers to mine Bitcoin. So that could be significant if it's non-dilutive. 15 million market cap. I have a feeling there'll be lots of strings attached and warrants and stuff like that, or a convertible note. I don't know how that's going to work. But for right now, the CEO is out there pumping that they're going to get access to $10 million. So that could give BTB a bid today, particularly if Bitcoin breaks out of 28,500. So something to watch there. I'm not in it right now. I decided to switch out of BTB and put it in Mara and BITO, safer plays, and Coin. I'm not sure if I'm in Coin yet, but I've allocated some of that money to also get into Coin as a way to play Bitcoin. All right, guys. I think that's all the news. I mean, there was other news out this morning, but just product updates from Plug, from INVE, from man, what were they here? Let's see. Scroll down here. There were some product updates, but I don't think they were significant in terms of a catalyst. YEXT had a product update. SKYT had a product update. And I'm sorry, INV was not a product update. It was winning multiple 2023 Cybersecurity Excellence Awards. So these are companies I like. I like all of these. And I think I may still have a position in some of these companies. SKYT, I think I own a little bit of YEXT in my IRA. I don't own Plug, but you can take a look at all of those to see what those product updates are and make your own determination if it's something that can move the market. But for now, listen, it's kind of like bad news because I like microcaps, right? And you know, I don't know, man. You can clearly see the money flow to the big caps, and you also have to be worried again about a credit crunch and access to capital for microcaps, which can depress valuations for any microcap that might need to raise money. It's not a great situation if you're a microcap investor. And, you know, I may have to make some choices here in my IRA and start shifting to more larger caps. Like I do own some Microsoft now. I own some Tesla. Okay. I own some CrowdStrike. These are all positions I picked up in the last couple of months, but it's not a lot. Honestly, it's maybe like 10, max 15% of my positions are in like mega caps, and still like 80% are in micro caps. So this is not a happy development, this banking crisis. Really, really not happy about what that means for micro caps and the price action that they're going to see. So you got to think about that and think about how you want to address that in your own portfolio. I could be wrong, obviously, but you know, I'm telling you what I remember from my experience in the past two cycles. It's like the third time I'm seeing this potential cycle of money coming out of micro caps and going into big caps and staying that way potentially for a couple of years. So be careful out there, guys. We'll see you at 10:45 a.m. on Zoom to discuss LLAP earnings. And by the way, I didn't talk to you about the levels. Let's do that real quick. Well, now you have a 225. Apparently, it hit this in early pre-market. I was not up when it did that. But that's a major level there. And then also you got 202. But basically, we're reversing what happened on the downside, right? We had our support to 20, support at the 50. They both failed. Now you have resistance at the 50. And if that happens to break resistance at the 20 DMA, And I'm not really expecting, if this has a great day, I think the max you're going to see is the 20 DMA. But let's see what they say on the conference call details. And let's hope for Rivada ITU approval this week in Geneva, Switzerland. And then we can maybe talk about targets above 225. But for now, I'm not going to do that. And let's see where we're on the downside here. 180. Oh, the gap fill right from before, which was about 171 potentially on the downside. So this is your range you're playing in now, 171 to 225. And we'll talk to you at 9:45 a.m. soon. Take care.